Three big takeaways from the Mariners' uncharacteristic losses to the Guardians in the first series of 2023. Opening week didn't go as well as we all hoped. Takeaway number one, using Tommy Lastella as your DH is not conducive to winning. Tommy Lastella is a guy who can definitely provide for you off of your bench, but it's not somebody who should be your everyday DH. Obviously, we saw Cooper Hummel get in there at DH a little bit, and I think it was either game 2 or game 3, but Tommy Lastella just doesn't really look that competitive up there. And if he can't play the field, if he's not healthy enough to play the field yet, he is really not worth having on your team. His bat is fine. He has produced at major league level before, but never enough to really lock down a spot, especially a spot like DH. Obviously, you don't always want to use your second catcher, in this case, of course, Tom Murphy, in that DH spot, because then if your starting catcher, in this case Cal, was to get hurt, you're kind of SOL. The Mariners do, however, have Cooper Hummel, just in case that does happen. He can be the emergency catcher, probably not a very good backup catcher, but nonetheless, he is there if you need him. You could also be DHing Cooper Hummel. I would honestly trust that a lot more than seeing someone like Tommy Lastella. And in the end, AJ Pollock is a guy who has made the All-Star team before, won a World Series with the Dodgers, and has been a pretty decent player in the past. Why are you not DHing him? Why did we have to wait until game 4 of the season to finally see AJ Pollock? Takeaway number 2, and it's something that really plagued the Mariners in the playoffs last year, hitting with runners in scoring position. Getting the big hit when you need it. The Mariners got 7 hits on both the first and second game of the season, and only 3 hits, 2 of which were Julio, in the third game of the season. They made Aaron Savali look like a Cy Young contender. Overall, the Seattle Mariners just did not look good at the plate in this series. There were a lot of pitches that they looked at right down the middle or swung right through. If you can't get a big hit with runners in scoring position, you're not going to win a lot of games, especially when your pitching staff is giving up 5 walks at Robbie Ray early on in the game. Defensively, the Mariners have also looked bad. As a team, they just have looked really poor. It's been sloppy gameplay all the way around for the Seattle Mariners so far in 2023. Some of the errors couldn't have been controlled, like Teo's throw that hit Mike Zunino. Nothing you could do there. But a lot of the errors, like, for example, Cal Raleigh throwing down to first base and just short-hopping Ty France to lose the final game of the Guardians series, that's a ball you just shouldn't throw. And if you do, you gotta make sure it's a better throw than that. You cannot be short hopping in that kind of situation. And speaking of that Teoscar Hernandez throw, takeaway number 3 is that Teoscar Hernandez is gonna be just fine. Honestly, he's looked decent defensively. And I know, small sample size, and that everyone's gonna say, oh, well, it's only been 4 games. It's also only been 4 games with him at the plate. He had that gigantic 12-pitch at bat in either game 2 or game 3. He also hit a ball really hard in the final game of the series, almost got it out of here, was caught at the warning track, and then lasered a double off the left field wall. Teoscar Hernandez is someone who has always hit, and he is going to hit here in Seattle. Teo has one of the highest hard hit percentages in all of baseball over the past couple of years, and he's going to be just fine, especially once the weather warms up. The ball is going to carry a lot more at T-Mobile Park. Through just 13 or 14 at-bats, Teoscar Hernandez hasn't looked great, but he has still been a lot better than people have already given him credit for. And defensively, he's honestly impressed me a lot more than I expected him to. I expected him to be Jesse Winker level out there in the outfield, but honestly, he's looked quite a lot better than Jesse Winker ever did as a Seattle Mariner. Starting off 1-3 is not something that we expected for the Mariners in 2023, but now they're going to take on the Angels starting tonight at 6:40 p.m. We have George Kirby on the mound for the Seattle Mariners. Kirby's not going to have Chris Flexen out there in the bullpen, as we did see Robbie Ray unfortunately take an injury. We have that video on the screen now. Make sure to check that one out. I appreciate you guys watching this one, and go Mariners!